Calling to order the City of Plymouth Planning Commission at 6:37 p.m. on Thursday, October 17th, 2024. Can we have a roll call? Minutes.
1 second. This camera's doing its own thing. Commissioner Cozart,
Melvin Cosart present.
Commissioner Clapper,
Present.
Commissioner Shaw. Present. Vice Chair Sullivan and Chair Mickelson are absent tonight. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's please stand and have a flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Members of the public and not attending in person may submit written public comment prior to the meeting by emailing your comments to the planning clerk at dnight@cityofplymouth.org before 3:30 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Emailed public comments will be distributed to the commission and made part of the official record. The first item on the agenda is approval of the planning commission regular meeting agenda for today, October 17th, 2024. Public comment throughout the meeting under provisions of the government code. Citizens wishing to address the commission. Oh, actually, that's next time. Sorry.
So, yeah, we just need to approve, get the
Yeah.
agenda.
Do I have a motion to approve the planning commission regular meeting agenda for October 17th, 2024?
Cosart approved.
Do I have a second?
Cosart approved.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Gail Shaw, second.
All right, roll call vote.
Commissioner Cozart,
You didn't, I pushed it down to expose it, I'm sorry. Cosart approves it.
Shaw, seconds.
Commissioner Clapper
Yes.
and Commissioner Shaw.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, now for public comment for the vast audience we have. Under provisions of the government code, citizens wishing to address the commission for any matter not on the agenda may do so at this time by completing and submitting a speaker submittal form to the planning clerk or following the instructions noted on this agenda. Speakers will be called by the chair at the point on the agenda when the item will be heard. Speakers should keep their comments to 3 minutes or less and state their name and community of residence. Under provisions of the California Government Code, the commission is prohibited from materially discussing or taking action on any item not on the agenda unless it can be demonstrated to be of an emergency nature or an urgent need to take immediate action arose after the posting of the agenda. All right. Given there's no public to comment, then we'll move on to item number 4, which is presentations and appointments, which we have none. So we'll move to item 5, which is our consent calendar. So in looking at the consent calendar, we have item 5.1, which is the approval of the planning commission regular meeting minutes from the August 15th, 2024 meeting. Any comments to start off with?
None here, no questions, no answers.
None here.
All right, given that, do I have a motion to approve the planning commission regular meeting minutes of August 15th, 2024?
Is by vote or
A motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a motion?
Cosart approves?
Makes a motion.
Yeah, just make it, you can make a motion to approve.
I approve the motion.
So I think
Maybe we go with, so you would say something like, I I motion to approve the planning commission regular meeting minutes of August 15th, 2024. Or we.
I approve the minutes of August 15th, 24.
Okay, was that a motion?
That's a motion.
Okay, do I have a
Make a
second?
motion to approve.
Great, do I have a second to that?
I second.
All right, thank you, and a roll call vote.
Commissioner Kozart,
I approve.
and I'm gonna go with Commissioner Shaw
Yes.
and Commissioner Cloud.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to item number 6, which is a public hearing. I will now open the public hearing for item 6.1, which is to adopt a resolution of the planning commission of the city of Plymouth recommending city council approval of amendments to the zoning ordinance to include a new zoning designation, multifamily, MF zoning district, and related minor modifications to chapter.
So are we just reading what it is?
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah, chapter 19.56 residential and agricultural zoning districts. So we'll hold a public hearing, receive any public testimony, and review and discuss the resolution. So first I'll turn it over to Erica to take us through the resolution.
good evening. Tonight is your second review of proposed amendments to the zoning ordinance. The planning commission first reviewed a draft ordinance, modifications on August 15th, 2024 during a study session. No changes were requested by the commission at that time. The reason staff has brought forward these zoning ordinance amendments are to create a new residential zoning designation to better allow for multifamily development within the city. In addition to that, while working on this chapter, staff noticed a couple of changes that needed to be made at this time so that we are consistent with state law, and I'll discuss those in a minute. So currently the city has 3 standard residential zoning districts. We have the rural residential, which is our least dense category. We have standard residential, which is the most common, and we have that throughout the city. It's your typical single family residential zoning district. And then we have the village residential, which allows mixed use and allows a higher density zoning. Higher density, you can go up to 16 dwelling units per acre within that zoning designation. That zoning designation is, however, very particular. It's for land around the downtown, according to the zoning designation. Next one, please. We do have what's called the high density residential overlay zoning district, and what that means is someone could take a piece of property and then have it rezoned to have the high density overlay over it. It gets a little confusing because if it was standard residential and I put over my high density residential overlay, then I still have to change the general plan designation. So it is a little bit complicated. There's also a restriction on the size of the lot, and the size starts increasing if there's more than one parcel, and usually in a development, there are more than one parcels. So really this residential overlay zoning district is not doing anything for the city at this time. And in fact, we have no properties that have applied to have this rezone on them. So it's not effectively giving us further housing opportunities within the city. Next. Just so you're aware, the city is currently in the 6th cycle housing element. Within that, we have our regional housing needs share that we have to plan for. And what we have to plan for in this cycle, which ends in 2029, we have to plan for 27 very low income dwelling units, 19 low income dwelling units, and 5 moderate income dwelling units. During the previous cycle, the 5th cycle, we did not build any of our required affordable housing. So it is getting harder in the city where our numbers are going. So what staff is proposing to do is to remove some barriers to maybe providing some multifamily housing within the city. During our previous meeting, I did mention that there is a property that has an erroneous zoning designation on it. It's designated for multifamily or high density in the general plan. For some reason, it's zone standard residential. The general plan overrules, so it can be developed as high density, but this is really between that and 2 properties that I have zoned for village residential. We don't have much that's designated for multifamily. We're trying to remove that barrier. So in order to do that and to also give us some more protections, staff is proposing to add a new multifamily zoning district. This will allow 16 dwelling units to a maximum of 21 dwelling units per acre, and it matches the high density general plan land use designation, which allows that higher category. One thing that we are doing within this, as you can see in the draft ordinance, is that staff has put in uses in the multifamily that further restrict the ability of someone to come in and try to do something like a bunch of single family residential units tightly packed within an area that doesn't get what we need, which is we need a variety of housing. And that's what we're looking at with the housing element right now is the state wants us to have more than just single family residential. So condominiums or townhouses or some other level where maybe it's, senior apartments, something where we provide another layer of housing types within the city. As I mentioned, there's also some errors that we found while looking at that chapter, and since we were changing something anyways, we figured we might as well fix these right now so that we were consistent with state law. So right now, mobile homes are noted as only being allowed with a conditional use permit, and the state has said you cannot do that. We are to consider mobile homes and manufactured homes as a permitted use type. That comes directly from the state. We have the existing family daycare added to this list, and the state says that family daycare up to 14 children is a permitted use. We cannot require a conditional use permit, it is just allowed. We have proposed to add child or adult daycare more than 15 because the current list only allowed for facilities up to 14 people, and again, with a conditional use permit. Larger facilities are quite often are important to many cities because as the population ages and people want to have their family members in the town, have some care for their parents. We see these becoming more and more of a necessity, and typically they are larger than 15 because they are very expensive to run. And with the multifamily, we want to really allow for this to occur within the city if someone chose to do so. So we've added it in there for the possibility that it could be bigger. Of course, any new building within the city requires planning commission review. And we've added for the larger facilities a conditional use permit so that we can have another review layer if someone wanted to move into an existing building. The parking for these facilities sometimes it's hard for staff to work out. Religious assemblies are in the modification to religious assemblies is also in there. We are inconsistent with the requirement with state law that says if similar uses are allowed by right or by conditional use permit, religious assemblies is also considered the same thing under the state. So we have to allow it in the same fashion. So we've cleaned that up. I removed the dwellings second unit attached and detached because that's confusing. We're gonna have our new ADU ordinance hopefully soon. And then lastly is solar power installation large. I removed that because it does not make any sense. And the state does exempt our review for most solar panels, so that is out there. The exception would be if someone wanted to do a solar farm. That's a very large use and it's not even on our use list at all, so they wouldn't be permitted unless we somehow decided to change our zoning ordinance. Next one, please. So tonight, staff is asking you to make a recommendation to the city council approving the zoning ordinance as written. You can amend if you would like. If you were to approve, staff will then notice this and bring this before the city council during a public hearing. As I mentioned before, we still have that 6.2 acre parcel with the wrong zoning. if this multifamily gets approved by the city council, I'll bring forward that parcel, it will go before you first, then to city council for a rezone to the new multifamily. And then, during our study session, we also discussed some general plan amendments. I will bring those forward to you, probably before the end of the year. I don't believe we haven't had any this year, so I don't have to worry about the 4 per year, but it might get wrapped up at the same time with ARPO, it just depends. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
All right, any questions for Erica? Okay,
I have some questions. I'm not very up to speed on a lot of this. I am curious what the threshold is on very low income and low income.
Oh,
Or should-
you're testing me.
Yes.
Let me look it up. The number I don't have off the top of my head. Are you talking about what would the income range be for Plymouth, or what is the percentage of?
Well, it says 27 very low income dwelling units.
Yeah.
19 low income and 5 moderate, and I'm not, I don't know enough about that kind of language, so I was just curious what exactly that meant.
So let me pull up the state income limits. So the way that the state, so every year, the state of California issues a new state income limits for every county. So we're in Amador County, we follow Amador. So they designate the area median income, which for Amador County is $101,900 for a family of 4. And then what the state does is further breaks it down based on, is it for each income category that they require, what is that number for low, what is that number for, wait, I'm getting it, very low, low, and then moderate. So they will then tell us, what are those numbers? And it all comes on this sheet. Now, for low income, it's equal to 15% of the area median income. So that's low income. Moderate income is a little bit different. It goes 80% to 120% of the area median income. So for example, if I took a household of 4 and my family, we only made $80,650 between whoever's working, you are considered low income. If for that same household, you made $50,400, you are considered very low income. And it's the total income for the family. So if you are a single head of household and you had 3 children, those numbers are still the same. If you have 2 people working with 2 children, that number is still the same.
Still the same. Okay.
What we tend to find happening is in most cities that at the low income, it still captures teachers, firefighters, city employees. It is a high need for housing in the state, and housing is placed.
Okay, I was concerned that very low might mean Section 8.
Section 8 is a federal program that is different,
Okay.
and what it means is that the government then will give some funds. So if, let's say I'm an affordable housing provider, I might say, as part of my plan, I'm gonna allow for some Section 8. I'm also going to only take anyone with this specific income, and that is how I become an all affordable complex. But Section 8 refers to a federal program, and those vouchers can be used anywhere where they are accepted. But the state says, and we have the obligation to plan for very low, low, and moderate. Moderate's a little bit easier, as I mentioned, because it's 80% to 120%. So if I'm a family of 5 or 4, if I make $122,300, I'm considered moderate.
Right, okay. Thank you.
It's good to know.
The other question that I had was on the family daycare. Are these, they can be daycare for up to 14 children, would that be in a home or a facility?
So it has to be within a home, so it's defined in our code under definitions, but family daycare is something that operates out of a home. It is not, I am a business and I want to go down the street and operate a daycare center out of a commercial establishment. That is an entirely separate thing, that is called daycare, so that would fall under specifically daycare.
Okay, and would a home, if that home had 14 children, I would presume that would have to be a pretty big home. That's
So
a lot of children.
the state removes our ability in any way, shape or form to regulate them, and cities did used to. So I'm trying to think how long it's been in effect, so. This law has maybe been in effect for 16, 17 years, so cities did used to say 6 and under was permitted, 6 to 14 required a permit from the city. And the state has stepped in and said, no, we cannot look at it, we cannot say anything, but they do have to go through licensing through the state, so the state handles it. Over 14 in a home would not be allowed.
On the child or adult daycare, is that a facility or is that a home?
That is going to, for 15, that is going to be a facility. Now, again, the state has a law and it's community care facilities. And so the state says again that a, let's say assisted living or memory care, or maybe some people just need some help or drug and alcohol treatment. Under 14 and under is permitted, we are not involved in it. So the state does establish some regulations for where we can say something and where we can't. So the larger facilities, yes, the state wants to encourage more types of housing, more kinds of housing, and they want to prohibit cities from excluding them from within their list. They want us to treat most of these uses as single family uses, that there is no difference between.
Okay, thank you. One last question is, I'm not familiar with where the 6.2 acre parcel is.
I don't have a map.
Okay,
It is, also, when I bring it back through, I'll have a map for you then.
okay,
It is off the downtown behind a standard residential zoned area. It is landlocked. I don't know what the everability of them to develop it is.
okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Shaw. Commissioner Cosart, any questions?
No questions, I think it's probably time to move up to above 14 and get going, because we're changing a little bit and we don't want to be behind time when we get swarmed with new people coming in or something.
All right, thank you. Question on the change with the multifamily, so you'll bring back the single parcel and then the other 2 parcels, right? Or is that something?
So I should back up, when I said 14 for the group homes, it's not 14. I realized it after I said it because I was so fixated on 14. More than 6 is conditional use permit. That's consistent with state law. So if I had a nursing home with 7 people, they would have to come before the planning commission unless you wanted to change that. For those 2 parcels I mentioned, and because this was so long ago, I can't remember if we talked about it. So the 2 parcels that we had previously mentioned that were part of this, when we did the study session. When we had gone to the study session, they would not contact me back, and I couldn't get a hold of them. And then at the meeting, you had mentioned that you thought we had talked about it, so we went and found the video, and you had in fact talked about it with those 2 parcels. And again, one person didn't show up, the other person, one of the owners did come and say he didn't want his property rezoned. And then about a week to 2 weeks after we had our meeting, he called me again and said he didn't want his property leased. So, we have removed, those 2 parcels will be removed from the housing element. They will not be a part of it because we have enough with that multifamily parcel that we already have designated. So I don't need any more housing sites. I just needed that extra where we could have some multifamily to help us with our numbers. And so that 6.2 acre parcel, which counts now, it doesn't even have to be rezoned, it still counts. So that will get us to our number. I know at that meetings, a gentleman spoke from Empire Mines and had offered a property, but that's not on the table anymore. So we're down to just existing. And with the existing, we have enough.
Oh, good, okay, good. Excellent, so we'll move to public comment. We'll just open it up for public comment, if somebody walks through the door. Give it a moment. Hearing no public comment, before we go to a motion, any other discussion amongst the commission around these changes?
None for me.
No comments here. I think we're doing great. And we've got a great help, great supervisor pushing us thing.
All right, so with that,
Oh, we have to close public.
sorry, now we'll close public hearing. And hearing no additional comment by the commission, we'll move on to a motion. So do I have a motion? And as you make the motion, please read like the item of 6.1, so we have it clearly stated. And then we'll go to a second of that motion, and then we'll have a vote.
With my voice acting up the way it is tonight, I'm gonna let them make the proposals and you can make a proposal for me if anything comes up, okay?
Mrs. Gail Shaw, I make a motion to adopt a resolution of the planning commission of the city of Plymouth recommending city council approval of amendments to the zoning ordinance to include a new zoning designation, quote, multifamily, MF zoning district, end quote, and related minor modifications to chapter 19.56 residential and agricultural zoning districts.
Thank you, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Kozart,
Yes,
Commissioner Shaw,
Yes.
Commissioner Clapper.
Yes.
Thank you, motion passes.
We'll move on to item 7, there's no unfinished business. Item 8, there's no new business. And so we'll move on to reports from the commissioners. Any additional information or your reports you'd like to share at this time?
None.
Any additional information you'd like to share at this time or report out?
I have nothing, thank you.
All right, neither do I. And let's go to City Store Planning Director, Eric, any additional comments or information?
I don't have any now.
All right, and city staff, Dana?
Not at this time.
All right, with that, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 7:05 PM, Thursday, October 17th.